What's your favorite boss battle in a video game and why? Are you a hardcore gamer or a casual player? Sundowner boss battle for Metal Gear Rising. Sadly he's let down a bit by being a bit underpowered, easily stunned and bizarrely low HP compared to other bosses. But his character and his whole ethos is just so friggin' goofy, and the Red Sun soundtrack is such a banger that the fight ends up being a blast. Not to shit on other MTR characters, but instead of a philosophy debate or a sob backstory, the guy's just like, lol, I love killing people, fucking fight me, and then uses gigantic scissors and swings a giant pole at you to try and kill you. It's awesome. Maybe not favorite, but definitely the most memorable. Judgment framed Roger Rabbit Ness. Takes forever, you do extremely limited damage, have to be extremely patient when timing your attacks. Could never have finished a WO NES Advantage controller W slow-mo. But when you get that final hit, chef's kiss. Bob Barber in DMC is one that comes to mind right away as one of the most creative boss battles with some of the most stunning visuals and audio I've ever seen in a game. I know that game wasn't a hit with hardcore fans of the franchise, but as a casual player that boss blew me away and I generally enjoyed the game. Casual gamer, and I've always loved the Titan Weevil in Pikmin 2 because it comes at you with all the elements. When Star Wars Bounty Hunter first came out, I rented it for weeks in a row, and Kamari Vasa was also a formidable boss. The Band Ogre scared the shit out of me. Lol. The Lich King, World of Warcraft. That fight was a perfect mix of mechanics and RNG that could all be defeated with proper team coordination and communication. And beating it on heroic was absolutely one of the best feelings for me in terms of killing a boss to this day. Pretty casual gamer here, I'd say Ganondorf in Ocarina of Time. Such an epic fight at the top of the castle, then the desperate run down the collapsing tower, and seeing the true final boss arise from the rubble. Chills. The Metal Gear series has some awesome boss fights, but I really enjoyed the katana fight between Raiden and Solid as an MGS2 and 10-year-old me trying to figure out how to beat Psycho Mantis in Metal Gear Solid. The Burned Ivory King, his fight is the closest thing to an actual raid boss in the Souls series and I love it. I'm pretty sure that I qualify as a hardcore since I platinated a lot of hard single-player games. Thoughtful Face, Metroid Prime and Metroid Prime, using all the Beam's Visor's abilities you acquired throughout the game to beat the title character is pretty cool. I'd call myself a bit more than a casual gamer. Drill the 10th of Skylanders Giants. I've only ever gone up against that thing once, but it was a ton of fun. I haven't played the game I'm talking about in a while. I should probably get back to it. Final Fantasy VII Final Boss. It's such a large epic fight and you have to bounce from group to group and actually strategize. It was so rewarding to me when you finally win that fight. Formerly hardcore but mostly casual nowadays, and one of my favorites is Gigas from Earthbound. The final part of the fight has one of the biggest WTF moments of any game I've played. Slave Nightingale from Dark Souls 3. Challenging, but not impossible. 3 phases. Very cinematic way to send off the series. Would love a DS4 someday, but probably never gonna happen. Hyperion from Returnal. The build-up, the music, the way his attacks match the rhythm of the music. My favorite boss fight ever. I'm somewhere between casual and hardcore gamer lol, but it's gotta be one from God of War. Very hard to narrow it down, those games wins the boss fight convo easily emo lol. Ludwig, the Holy Blade fight. His design, lore, music, just perfection. And I like to think I'm a casual gamer. I never play ranked matches in any multiplayer game I have. The Wesker battles in RE5 are absolute bangers. Wesker Jill was the first one that came to mind, but the final fight in the volcano is really good too. I really like the Wind Temple's boss in TDK, obviously it was probably the easiest boss, but something unique about fighting a boss without using weapons. Recent example, Fake Peppino from Pizza Tower. Nothing much to say other than, out of all the bosses, I had the most fun with him. The Hierophant from Hyper Light Drifter. It was the first boss I found and loved the colors, learning the stages, and the music. Sword Saint Tishin in Sekiro. Literally a culmination of every combat type you faced all game, then he also has the Glock. Ludwig and Bloodborne, still goosebumps from the music. But the icon fights from FF16 are blockbuster. Crazy Stage 2. Casual gamer, but beating Andros for the first time in Star Fox 64 is still pretty memorable. Final boss Phase 2 of Wrath of the Machine Raid in Destiny on Heroic. Amazing encounter. Morgan, mostly just loved his speeches and it wasn't so crazy hard. Pretty casual gamer. Hades and God of War 1 Think 3. Pretty much the entire series has amazing boss fights. The first Goomba, Super Mario. That dude has killed more players than I can imagine. Favorite boss Artorias in Dark Souls. Hardcore gamer with a touch of casual fun. Ibis Cell 240, Armored Core 6. That boss made me feel so much like a Gundam pilot. I think that Giga Queen from Deltarune Chapter 2 was great and refreshing. Fighting my logic to see the Phasmid in Disco Elysium.